Hello, hello, hello. Hello, YouTube. It's Deanya. Hello, Hope Crew family. We're here today because I'm doing the second part of the weekly poetry challenge number 3. And this is a poem based on Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Now, yes, you do need to do the challenges in order. So if this is the first time you've listened to one of these, you need to go back and watch number 1, which is haiku. Number 2 is an acrostic challenge. And this is number 3. Today we're going to be, now if you're already a writer, you already know what I'm talking about with metrics and this kind of thing, just listen through. You can go back when you want to. How about that? I'm not telling you what to do. Listen. Click away, whatever. Okay, so the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star poem is a series of couplets. And this is 2 lines that go together that mean something in some kind of way together. And these are normally set off either as a set of 2 or a set of 4, 6, 8, something like that. And they set them off into what are called stanzas. A stanza is like a paragraph in a poem. You'll have it set off by some space or a line, a divider, something like that. And so you'll see, if you see my spam haiku, which was the advanced part of the haiku challenge, it was a sequence of haiku. And you'll see that each one was a stanza. Each haiku is one stanza of a longer poem. Okay. So this is why you need to watch them in order. I won't talk about stanzas again. So today, with the couplets, what we need to think about is all kinds of writers use these. It's probably the most basic form of poetry there ever is. You know, there's an old joke about what is the world's shortest poem, and it's called Ants. And Adam had 'em. That's the poem. Ants, Adam had 'em. Yeah. So that's kind of a couplet in a way. You know, that's Adam had 'em. It's 2 pieces that go together. So Shakespeare was using couplets. This is very interesting. If you had to read or you love to read Romeo and Juliet, go back and look at how Shakespeare will write couplets anytime Romeo is talking to Juliet. He speaks in these poetic couplets, you know. I have a completely different opinion about what Romeo and Juliet is. It's not a love story at all. It's a teenage boy who is driven by passion and lust to drive himself off the edge of a cliff and find someone to do it with. Okay, that's what Romeo and Juliet is about. It's a play warning young women not to fall for young men who want to sweep you up and kill you, right? That's what the play is really about. Anyway, so Shakespeare used couplets, very interesting. So what we're going to do is look at the meter of these couplets today. We already see how these couplets are rhyming at the end. They're using words that rhyme together. And you may chosen to have done that. You may not have chosen to have done that. But that's a pretty obvious choice. The choice I want to talk about today is meter. And meter is what is determining the sound of the poem when you read it out loud, which you should do to all poems, by the way. What you're doing is you are making shorter sounds and stronger sounds, just like we talked when I read, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." Okay, doesn't matter. You can try to read it differently, but you can't, because in English, words have sound qualities and structures. Each word is expected to be said in particular ways. And so because of this, meter can be pretty much looked at in a poem. And decided objectively by a reader. And so this is called scanning a poem. When you're getting ready to look and break a poem down to figure out what is working with the sound? Why does this sound so interesting to me? What you do is you take the poem, you write it out on a piece of paper, and then you scan it. And so you can see in the comments, in the description, I have scanned out Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. It looks much better for you than it does for me. But this is basically a series of little lines and cups. And so the technical terms for this little line is called a Macron from the French. And the little cup is called a Breve. And I don't know, I've been writing poetry for from school, in school I've been writing poetry for 40 years, and I had to look back up to remember the names of these. Frankly, I just don't call them by their name very often. So the little cup is a breve, and this is a shorter breve, brief sound, and Macron is longer, harder, sharper sound. And so what we're doing is we're looking at every time these sounds repeat. If we find a repetition, we're going to call that a foot. And so if you look at Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, you'll see that there's a repetition, twinkle, twinkle, little star. Okay, we have two things, twinkle, that repeat, twinkle, twinkle, little. And then we have an extra thing, star. That's interesting. Let's leave that there. But what we've got is we've got a two-syllable foot with a hard first sound and a breve, then a shorter second sound. Now this is called a trochee. A trochee is trochee, trochee. You can remember trochee, a hard sound, then a short sound. And so what we have in Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star is 3 trochees and then an extra long sound, an extra Macron. That's very interesting. And so if you compare that to something like Jack and Jill went up the hill. So Jack and Jill, when you look at the structure, it also is using trochees. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. It's very regular. It never breaks pattern. And it's a couplet, right? It's 2 lines. They have a rhyme at the end. There's some internal rhyme. You can break it down and scan it as 4 lines, but then it doesn't follow the same pattern. So you want to, when you're scanning, make things as simple as possible and just say, okay, where are the patterns happening and how are the lines breaking? So you can compare that in the notes to Jack and Jill, and you can see how these are all trochees, and they are coming in a very particular way. But in this Twinkle, Twinkle poem, you'll see that they are coming with this extra on the end, extra syllable. And I looked and looked to find if this was some kind of named form, and I did not find that it was a named form. But what I did find is that William Blake wrote the poem called The Tiger, which many of you know, Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. He wrote this about the same time as Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, it looks like. Maybe was published. I'd have to do more research. But listen to Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright, and hear Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, because it's the same structure. Tiger, Tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye, and now he breaks, could frame thy fearful symmetry. So now he makes it a little bit shorter. But so this form has been used quite a lot. but it's very interesting the way it uses trochees and then has that extra on the end. Now, just going back to particular parts of how the couplet is working. So the challenge was to produce a couplet with 2 lines that would repeat at the end. So this advanced technique I want to give you today when I do mine is where I'm adding a few extra syllables and where I am breaking a rule of taking a line and changing the order of it to add a little bit of interest. Okay, and so I have my poem also in the description below, and you can also see how it scans out. And I've got 2 extra sounds in it, 2 extra syllables in it. They're both short syllables, and I've put them in parentheses. This is why I'm holding my hands this way. They're in parentheses in the description. And so I will read you mine now. And I think that's about all I have to say about meter this week and trochees. Now, the opposite of a trochee is an iamb. So if you have a short first syllable and a longer second syllable, you have an iamb. And poetic lines of 5 iambs are very popular in English, American English writing particularly, but English writing also. And this is called iambic pentameter because you have 5 feet in a line. And so that goes da 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 da. Okay, so it's ta 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 ta. That's an iamb. But what we're looking at is a trochee. Okay, and so here is mine. I think I'm going to be calling it War Games. Russians, Chinese call our names, using our voices, playing war games. He said, she said, white said, black. We would fight the wrong ones back. Using our voices, playing war games. Russians, Chinese, call us names. Okay, so thanks for being here. Again, if you have any questions, comments, wild screams of protest, put them in the comments below. Always tag me, send me a link to where you've done your own work, or use the hashtag for the poetry challenge. There will be 10 weeks for poetry challenges. It will be sort of a short course in poetry writing, appreciation. And then come April, there will be another month of some things, because April is poetry writing month. So there will always be things then. So have a wonderful day. Hope you find some peace today. Take care. Do some writing. All right? Be free.